The classy, thank you so much for connecting and tuning on to Metric Up. Welcome back to today's segment. We are just going to go straight into the details, which we are to understand that we need to understand the endocrine glands, the various endocrine glands that we identified last time, and also hormones that are produced, the various hormones that are produced, as well as their functions. So, without wasting any time, we're gonna talk about the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland as the first ones. These are the hormones, these are the glands that are found in human brain, which quite oftentimes students you are confused, or sometimes you are just misplacing them, or vice versa them, losing unnecessary marks. So the hypothalamus is a small area of the brain which is located above and connected to the pituitary gland. So what happens is the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, they are connected together. So what you need to understand is that the hypothalamus basically is on top of the pituitary gland. Uh, it produces and secretes important hormones, which we are going to talk about just now, the ADH and stuff, and is linked between the nervous system and the endocrine system. Last time, in the previous presentation, we talked about, I've been giving to you the link and the connection between the two systems, saying that the endocrine system and the nervous system, they work together. So right now you can quickly understand and see that that communication or that coordination that takes place is provisioned because of the what? Because of the hypothalamus. So it actually connects the nervous system and the endocrine system, which for just revision or for reflection sake, we say that the endocrine system promotes long-lasting responses that are gradual, and the nervous system is for emergent quick responses anyway. But now, what is the location, or we want to identify the location of the hypothalamus in the human brain? I just have a nice picture that I have attached here. I have got a nice picture that I've attached here, but this one, just take note of that, to say it's a link between the nervous system, between the nervous system and what in the and the endocrine system. That we just want us to emphasize that. And then what I want you to see is that it is the hypothalamus is located in the brain. It is located in the brain, specifically at the base of the brain, which means under the brain and below the thalamus and above the pituitary gland. So quite, uh, like most times we see in exams, they give us a diagram such as the one that I've drawn here, or that I have attached here, which we have got the hypothalamus there, which we have the hypothalamus, and then you are asked to identify the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and so forth, other lower level or other uh, related glands that might be involved on this human body, all over the body there. So we are saying the hypothalamus is, you can see it is located in the brain, which you can see there, it is located in the brain, and then we are saying there is a pituitary stalk. The pituitary stalk, it is just a part of the hypothalamus that connects the hypothalamus to the what, to the skull, to the brain there. We have got also, I want us to understand this one, to say we have got one, the anterior lobe, and also the posterior lobe. So what happens is that these ones, I want you to understand how do they work and the hormones that are produced. And then finally, of course, we have got the what? We have the pituitary gland that you are seeing is located here. This is the pituitary gland that is shown number 3 on our diagram there. So this whole diagram, it is actually identifying, the pituitary gland, and what? The pituitary gland. It is actually identifying the pituitary gland and also the hypothalamus. So as you can see, this one is just an extension. It is just an extension which is drawn aside in order for students to understand it very well. For you to be able to see it clearly, we just took away this part which I can say part A, which you are seeing is represented by part B in its entirety in order for us to be able to what? In order for us to be able to explain them fair and clear. So now, the endocrine glands and their, the various hormones produced in their target organs. So here now we have got the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, it produces the what? The ADH. It produces the ADH. ADH is written in short representing antidiuretic hormone, which is also called the vasopressin hormone, which is also called the vasopressin. What is the target organ of this ADH? It targets the kidneys. It targets the kidneys functions of ADH. It actually stimulates the reabsorption of water into the tubules. It stimulates the reabsorption of water into the tubules and protecting the body against dehydration. So what happens is the body naturally it loses water because of various ways, either through excretion and also through sweating, which can also cause loss of water. So therefore, what we are saying is that the balancing of water in the body is controlled because of, or is controlled through the ADH, which targets the what? The kidneys. We are going to go deep into that as we go into uh, what you call, if when we're going to go deep into this osmoregulation process and so forth. So what you need to know is that ADH, it is actually produced from the hypothalamus, targeting the tube, the semferous tubules of the kidneys in order to stimulate the reabsorption of water into the tubules, and then also it also protects the body against dehydration. So let's look into that. I said in the diagram above here, we said we've got the anterior lobe and then the posterior lobe. So here now, the pituitary gland, it is actually having those two. So one, the anterior lobe, it is located at the base of the brain. It is located at the base of the brain, and then it is behind the bridge of the nose and directly below the hypothalamus. It is directly below the hypothalamus uh, at the base of the brain. It's the anterior pituitary, the larger of the two lobes. It is actually the biggest. Is the what? It is the biggest of the two lobes, consisting consists of hormones secreting epithelial cells. There are cells called epithelial cells that produces some hormones and is connected to the hypothalamus through the blood vessels, obviously, which we are saying blood vessels connects, uh, it is connected to the hypothalamus through the blood vessels. So now, what I want you to understand is that there is anterior lobe and also the posterior pituitary, which is actually unmelanated, meaning to say that it does not have the casing of the fat insulation, which I'm saying it does not have the melaline sheath. It does not have the melaline sheath, the myelin sheath, which we talked about previously when we talked about neurons. So what happens is that it does not have it. Does not have, it does not have, it does not have the myelin sheath. So what you need to understand is that the posterior pituitary, it is actually uninsulated, as like to say it is not covered by the fat insulation. So the secretory neurons is therefore is actually connected to the pituitary through the nerve tract. The nerve tract, the moment we talk about the nerve tract, it means we are talking about what? The neurons. So we need also to understand that obviously we talk about, when you look at the structure of the neuron, it also have it does have the various components that we talked about previously when we were talking about the structure of the neuron. So those are the ones. So having said that, we want to identify the various hormones that are produced by the pituitary gland, how or the different hormones that are produced by the pituitary gland. So one, uh, we have got one, the thyroid stimulating hormone, which targets the thyroid gland. It targets it targets the thyroid. It targets the thyroid gland. It targets the thyroid gland. So it stimulates the growth of the thyroid gland as the function that is one, and then stimulate the thyroid gland to secrete the hormone thyroxine. The production of thyroxine is because of the thyroid stimulating hormone, which causes the thyroid gland to grow. So the growth of the thyroid gland, it is caused because of the TSH, which is produced from the pituitary gland, and therefore it enables the thyroid gland to grow. So therefore thyroxine hormone can be produced. So that is the function, or those are the functions. We have got number two, the follicle stimulating hormone, which can also target the ovaries in female. In female, it targets the ovaries there, and then stimulating the development of follicles. We are saying the maturation of follicles, it is because of the follicle stimulating hormone, and then it stimulates the ovaries to produce the hormone or estrogen. Or estrogen is produced because of the maturation of, it is produced as a result of the follicles maturing. So that in that regard again, it further stimulates the development of eggs in the female, which we are saying when eggs are developing or are maturing, what happens is that would have also estrogen being produced. So that is the ovaries, or how the ovaries are affected or are targeted by the follicle stimulating hormone. In male, follicle stimulating hormone, it also, we are talking about male, it also stimulates the testicles to produce the spermatozoa, which we are saying the sperm cells. The sperm cells, they are maturing as a result of the follicle stimulating hormone also. So number three, we have got the luteinizing hormone, which is called LH. The luteinizing hormone, basically, we also want to understand that it actually targets the ovaries. It targets the ovaries in female. It targets the ovaries, which also stimulates over maturation. It ensures that the ovum or the ovum are maturing, and then obviously when they mature, what happens is that it also ensures the release of the egg, which we call ovulation. Ovulation, the release of the egg, mature egg from the ovaries. Why does it occur? It is the one that causes conception. It's the one that causes a woman to be able to conceive. Conceiving or pregnancy is attained as a result of mature eggs or egg that is found in the fallopian tubes. So when an egg is matured, it is uh, released into the fallopian tubes as a result of the LH hormone. Therefore, if in any case there is any copulation occurring or taking place, or family planning going on, there is chances of fertilization. Hence, we can talk about babies and stuff. So that is about the LH. In terms of the man or a male, we are saying it targets the testicles and also formation of the male hormone testosterone. It causes the testosterone hormone to be what? To be produced. Uh, we want to look at prolactin hormone, which is still also coming from the pituitary gland. It is actually the prolactin hormone. It targets the mammary glands. It targets the mammary glands, which we are saying it is quite available and known to be active in all animals that feeds their young ones on milk. So it stimulates milk production and secretion. The prolactin hormone, it causes the production of milk and also the release of the milk. So in that regard, again, milk production comes together with the immune system, influencing the immune system ability to fight against diseases. We can talk about the antibodies in this case. So obviously the immune responses is actioned and activated because of the uh, milk production. So this it relates to also even the young ones or the offsprings of an organism which is breastfeeding. So the young ones, their immune system is boosted and made stronger because of the milk production that we are talking about. Feeding on milk increases immune system. I was saying in one other class that there is the first milk that is produced by mostly, like we can talk about most all of them animals that are breastfeeding. That first milk that is produced is quite rich in proteins and also antibodies, which enables the young one to have a stronger immune system. Hence it can have a natural immune which can be able to fight against diseases and illnesses. We have got number next, this is number 4. So we have got number 5, which is the growth hormone. The growth hormone targets the bones and the muscles. It targets the bones and muscles. So it talks about growth and what? And cell elongation. So in this case, what is the function of growth hormone? It stimulates the growth of long bones and skeletal muscles. It stimulates the growth of long bones and skeletal muscles, where growth, where we need to understand again that growth hormone, which I said is GH, it increases during childhood. People tend to grow fast when they are still children. They grow fast when they are still children and also peak at puberty. I'm sure if you can check when young children reaches the stage of puberty, there is an outburst of of body mass gain and also growth, which we talk about as various secondary characteristics development. They are kicked in because of the physiological changes that comes in. But still in that case, we need to understand that the growth hormone, it is always highest at puberty stage. That's one key idea and point that I want you to know. Let's look at next number C in terms of number 3 hormone, the adrenal glands, sorry. The adrenal glands, it is actually having two triangular shaped glands that are situated on top of each kidney. They are found on top of each kidney. This one, I saw it in the previous paper. I can relate like it was June last year 2024, which it was in a theory where students were asked to identify the hormone produced. You are supposed to know where is it located. So in this case, we are saying the adrenal glands are found on top of each kidney, which is one key point that I want to take note of. So now the adrenal thing that we are the adrenal gland that we are still talking about it. I want you to look at this and see that it has got a central medulla region which is inside. It is made up of two parts. Adrenal glands has got two parts. We have got one, the central medulla, which is found inside, and then also the cortex, the outer cortex, which we can say number 2, which is found what? Outside. Are we together there? So, what is the function of the adrenal cortex? The adrenal cortex, it actually regulates salt. It regulates the salt and water balances, which affect blood pressure. So it affects blood pressure because of the regulation of salts and water balances. It actually produces the hormone what? The hormone aldosterone. Aldosterone hormone is produced from the adrenal cortex. Uh, we are coming to the major functions of that. And then this one, adrenal medulla, we said that they are found, the adrenal glands are found, uh, the adrenal glands are found on what? On top of each kidney. So now what I want you to understand is that the adrenal medulla, it is the one that releases what? Is the one that releases the adrenaline hormone, which is released, and it is actually responsible for fight and flight responses. Fight and flight responses. When adrenaline hormone is produced from adrenal medulla, we are saying, which is the inner region of the adrenal gland. What happens is that it increases heart rate, it increases heart rate, it increases blood pressure, it increases and blood sugar levels to prepare the body for what? For action. As we see, we are saying the fight and flight response. This can be defined as the what? As emergency, as emergency responses. The fight and flight responses are what we can call in simple terms emergency responses, emergency responses. So as you see that quite several times, you'll see that identify the hormone that is responsible for fight and flight responses or emergency responses, where it is found or where it is produced, and also give various functions of that. So here I've identified that the adrenal hormone, it targets various parts. These ones are the various body parts that are targeted by the adrenaline. It targets the heart. One, it targets the heart. So when it targets the heart, it increases the heart rate and blood supply to the cardiac muscles. So in an emergency response, what happens is that the adrenaline hormone increases the heart rate in order to increase the supply of blood to the cardiac muscles, which we say that it is again increasing the refurbishment and the supply of oxygen to all body cells in order for the body to keep on to keep on alive. So that is about the heart. We have put number two, the adrenaline hormone. It targets also the liver. In terms of the liver, it also causes the liver to increase the conversion of glycogen into glucose. It increases the conversion of glycogen into glucose, which is number two. Remember that. Why is this happening? In order to increase the supply of oxygen. To increase the supply of energy, sorry, to increase supply of oxygen energy, uh, to increase supply of energy, supply of energy. That is one thing that you need to understand it there. It increases the supply of energy. Remember that glycogen is the storage form of glucose. So when glucose is excess, in order to avoid diabetic or in order to avoid diabetes, glucose is converted into glycogen such that the body remains healthy or a person remains healthy. It can only be converted back into glucose when there is need for what? For energy in the body through what? Through respiration. So in this case, we are talking about an increase in the respiration process where more oxygen must be taken in because more oxygen is taken in. Therefore, uh, there must be an oxidation process taking place where glucose is converted, is being burnt, is being metabolized in order for the body to have what? more heat energy, more heat, more energy, and also the issues of water being released also from the body. So that is about the liver. And then number three, which is to do with the skeletal muscles. Adrenal gland targets the skeletal muscles also by that it increases blood supply to the skeletal muscles. It increases the blood supply to the skeletal muscles. That is number three. Increases blood supply to skeletal muscles. Adrenaline hormone targets the skeletal muscles in order to increase the supply of blood to skeletal muscles, which we are saying we are talking about the body cells. They supposed to have continuous blood supply, or they should have an increase in the supply of blood during an emergency, which we are talking about. All that is about the sustenance of the body to remain awake to avoid shutting down of the body. Number four, we have got the adrenaline hormone targeting the eye muscles. It stimulates the dilatation of the muscle, wide opening wide opening of what? Wide opening of the pupil so that more light can enter in the eye. When a person is under emergency, is frightened, is when a person is frightened, the pupil dilates. The dilatation, it is caused because of the adrenaline hormone, which causes the eye muscles to cause the response that we are referring to. And then number five is the skin. The adrenaline hormone fine also target the skin. And then in that regard, what happens is that it decreases blood supply to less vital organs of the body. The adrenaline hormone reduces the supply of blood to less vital organs of the body. For example, the digestive tract and the skin. We are saying less vital. What happens? We are not saying it stops. We are saying it decreases. It reduces the supply of blood to less vital organs. We are saying these are less vital during an emergency or during a fight and flight response. So such examples of less vital organs is the digestive system and also the skin, such that more supply of blood is run and couriered to most important organs. And then we have got number six, the lungs is the target organ. Number six, the target organ, which is the lungs. And then in that, what happens? It is number six, when it targets the lungs, what happens? It increases breathing rate. Lungs are stimulated to increase the breathing rate. In order to increase the this breathing rate, what does it do? In order to increase the oxygen, in order to increase carbon dioxide oxygen movement. We are talking about the taking in of oxygen and also the release of carbon dioxide. Breathing rate to increase the taking in of oxygen and the release of carbon dioxide. This has to do with carbon dioxide versus oxygen balance. We are saying it has to do that. The lungs has to cause an increased breathing rate so that we can have more oxygen and carbon dioxide being released. So now, in terms of the body cells, it increases the metabolic rate in order to release the energy, which is number seven also. Number seven, the last one, increased metabolic rate, which is number seven, the last target organ of the adrenaline hormone. We have got also the adrenal gland. It also produces what? It also produces the aldosterone. Aldosterone target the what? The kidneys also in order to regulate the salt, potassium concentration in the blood. Aldosterone hormone, it works together with ADH in order to regulate salt and what? And potassium concentration in the blood. So if you can see, this is quite interesting and very kind of clear, as you can see, to say that the aldosterone hormone, it is produced by the adrenal cortex, in order to regulate salt, sodium, salt and also salt and in order to regulate the salt and water balance, which also we said that it would affect blood pressure. So it works together with what? With ADH, which we said the antidiuretic hormone that we talked about in the beginning there. Let's look into reproductive glands. Reproductive glands. Reproductive glands are hormones released by human reproductive glands are very important in reproduction and for stimulating secondary characteristic development. Uh, it's very important in reproduction and also stimulating secondary characteristics development at the onset of what? Of puberty. I'm sure I remember when we did, or for most of us who are in class right now, we have done reproduction. Reproduction, it is a process that is hormonally controlled. So the hormones are produced by the reproductive glands. These reproductive glands are responsible for the reproduction process and also uh, kick-starting the secondary characteristic development, the changes that shows growth from childhood to adulthood. So in females, the ovaries are stimulated by follicle stimulating hormone. We have got follicle stimulating hormone from the pituitary gland. We talked about that. And then the ovaries themselves release the oestrogen. We talked about oestrogen that is also produced by the ovaries as they mature, and also progesterone, which play different roles in menstrual cycle. I'm sure I remember we talked about the hormonal control in terms of balancing or controlling the menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle, it is actually regulated by multiple hormones that are working in some negative relationship depending on what stage and whatever is happening with the cycle, pregnancy or not, and so forth and so forth. So now we need to take note of that to say there are various hormones that are produced which actually causes reproduction to occur, also causing the maturity to actually happen again. In males, the cells of the Leydig cells in testes, we have got specialized cells, which we are saying the Leydig cells in the testes, they secrete the male hormone testosterone. The male hormone testosterone, it is the one that also causes the secondary characteristic development that we are talking about, and also sperm production and what? And maturation. Sperms are produced and mature because of the testosterone hormone that we are talking about. So let's look into the ovaries. Ovaries, they produce estrogen, which is very correct. They produce estrogen. Ovaries produce estrogen. We are saying estrogen is produced. What's the function of estrogen? It promotes the thickening of the endometrium walls. I was saying to some of the class, to my students in class that these guys, you need to understand that which hormone promotes endometrium thickening. Promotes endometrium thickening, the hormone which is responsible for that is estrogen. And then we talk about continuous maintenance. This one promotes the thickening. The one which maintains the thickening is now the progesterone. But now I want you to understand to say estrogen promotes the thickening and also promotes the development of the female. It also promotes the development of the female secondary characteristics at puberty. It also promotes fertility. It also promotes fertility. This is quite linked together, or this is quite related to each of the various items that we discussed right now, to say that the estrogen promotes the development of the female secondary characteristics development, and also obviously as those they happen, we would also have the preparation for pregnancy, which is thickening of the endometrium walls. Let's look at testes. In males, what is testis? The testis stimulate the development of male sex organs. Uh, we are saying in terms of the testis, we are saying there is development of the male sex organs and the secondary characteristics during puberty, which we need to understand that there are also both broadening of the shoulders, widening of the shoulders, deepening of the voice, armpits, uh, wet dreams, and many other points that we can talk about. And then, in terms of that, it also promotes the maturation of the sperm cells. We are talking about the testosterone hormone. It also causes the development and maturation of the what? Of the sperm cells. So don't be confused. Don't be confused. Keep on following properly and get connected well. We are saying the testosterone hormone, it causes the male secondary characteristic development, and also it also causes the maturation of the sperm cells. And then progesterone, it maintains implantation. That's what I was saying. It maintains implantation. It maintains implantation, and then also which is that is pregnancy. Implantation, that is pregnancy, and then promotes further thickening and vascularization of the endometrium walls. We are talking about the wide supply of blood into the blood vessels. It is promoted because of the what? Because of this progesterone hormone. So you shall see, we are saying in conclusion, class, just take note of this. There is this question which comes where you are given human endocrine glands that are labeled A to G, list the hormones produced by each gland, list the hormones produced by each gland, and then that we need not to make mistakes. We must be able to understand them and give good answers to that. We said we have got the hypothalamus, we have got the pituitary gland, we have got the pituitary gland there, we have got the thyroid gland, we have got the adrenal gland. I'm saying, as you can see, this, I'm just saying, it is just a repetition of all the, of the previous presentation that we did. So as you can look at this class, you should be able to answer and be able to relate all these various hormones and the various functions that they perform. So this is just a conclusion of this subject, and then you need to be able to identify the glands and the various hormones that are produced. So for the sake of time, I just want to give you examples like I did there, because it is just a continuation, and it is just a repetition of what we just discussed previously. Thank you very much for your time and all the best. Please look forward to the next videos that are coming still on various units that we have not yet done yet. We are still continuing with the human endocrine system, evolution, and many others until we write our final exams. Have a beautiful stay. Don't forget to share to friends and families so that together we can make it. Thank you very much.